Hi there, it's Farmer Brad, and on today's video I'm going to show you how to assemble an automatic chicken water bucket from the do-it-yourself kit. Now what's included in the do-it-yourself kit is a float valve, garden hose adapter, blue reverse osmosis tubing, and 4 water nipples. What you'll need is your container of choice. In this case, I have a 2-gallon bucket, but the beauty of the do-it-yourself kit is you could have a 50-gallon barrel or a 5-gallon bucket. The things that you'll need are a power drill, a 11 32nd drill bit, and a 5/8 inch drill bit, and you may need some additional Teflon tape if what I provide is not enough. So the first step you'll do is you'll take your container and I flip it over. Now you'll want to orient the handles like so, and I have a guide here to just help me evenly put it around, but what I do is I offset about 45 degrees. So for example, here's the handle. I will start the water nipple about 45 degrees back, and what that does is it gets it off the edge here, and it just ends up I don't know, it's just personal preference. So the other thing too, you'll notice with these horizontal water nipples is that the threads flare, and so as it goes in, it will bite into the bucket. So what I need to do is use the 11 32nd, and what you'll want is, I end up using a reference piece here, but you'll want about an inch away from the bottom of the bucket. This will allow, if you have any sediment in the water, to settle down and not clog up the horizontal water nipple. So I just line that up. I drill the holes. Okay, so now I have 4 holes, one here, evenly spaced around there. And then you can take the water nipple and you want to apply some pressure where it kind of causes the bucket to dimple in a little bit. What you don't want is for the bucket to dimple out, because that could cause some leaking. So you can just turn it by hand until it's snug, and you'll want it in that orientation. So I continue that, the other ones. And I did want to mention too that there is this gasket here on here. Really, it is optional, but I like installing it and putting it on there because if you ever need to take this out and put it in and it's not biting into the bucket enough, you can take that off and it gives you that one last couple turns to be able to bite it into the bucket a little bit more. The other thing too is you might have, when drilling those holes, you might have some burrs in there, so you'll want to clean that out with a pocket knife and stuff, just to minimize any chance of leaking from there. And really, these little cups on here are really nothing other than just drip catchers more than anything. I like using the horizontal water nipples because it keeps the water inside the bucket. That way, if you want to use it during the winter time, you can drop a heated element down in there and these will still work. You'll just have to manually refill it during the winter time if you want to use the chicken water in the winter. Okay, wrapping up the last one. Okay, so here I have this. Then I'll switch over to the 5/8 drill bit. And this is for the float valve. So I'll go ahead and disassemble by unscrewing that. Then there are three pieces that can come off. So I'm unscrewing this. There is the kind of rubber one. There's the hard plastic one. So I disassemble that, and then the float valve, this one for example, can be adjusted. And I put it down in the lowest position possible. So then I drill a hole in here. And you want it about 3/4 of an inch from here. That way when you put this collar on there, there's enough room to go around. Also, you're going to have to spin this around, and sometimes the edge of the bucket will get in the way. So what I'm doing is I'm adding that sort of rubberized washer on here first. Then I place it in there, and then I put the hard plastic washer. And by putting the rubber washer on the inside, it will minimize the chance of this float valve spinning around from outside force on the outside. So it really helps kind of bite it in, because if it flips upside down, then it defeats the purpose of the float valve. Now I'll take this piece, and there's Teflon tape on there. You want at least 3 or 4 wraps of Teflon tape on there. Some might come with an O-ring, and if it has an O-ring, then the Teflon tape is unnecessary. So snug that down hand tight. And then this one has this blue clip on here, and so I remove that and push in the blue tube. I push it in, and then it doesn't want to come out. And then this is just a extra thing that you can put in there that will minimize it coming out. But if you need to disconnect it, there's a little collar on here, and you push that in, and then you pull the tube in the opposite direction. So that's really helpful if you're needing to feed this blue tube through hardware cloth, and you need to disconnect it for whatever reason. Now here is the garden hose adapter, and that goes on the other end. And there's also an extra garden hose rubber washer in here, and that is mainly because sometimes hose bibs have different amounts of threads, and so sometimes you need that extra one in there since you don't have very many threads. But sometimes you might not need that, and you can pull one out and use that. So it's just there so you can kind of customize that. Now the water's built. Now we need to move over to the lid. I like these buckets that have this port on here because you're able to pop it off during the winter time, and it's enough room to get a cord or manually refill it. So, but what's important is if you put this on here and it's airtight, when this water comes in, that air will have nowhere to go. So I end up just putting my 11/32 bit back in. And I just drill a vent hole. all the way through there. That way the air can escape and there won't be a chance of the lid popping off. And here you have it. Now on Amazon, they do, you can purchase different adapters. Look for the 1/4 inch reverse osmosis tubing ball valves, or they also make these Y splitters if you want to daisy chain multiple ones. What is nice too is by putting on this ball valve and then cutting another piece of tubing, you can disconnect this without shutting the hose off. You just shut this ball valve off, and that comes into handy if I have multiple chicken tractors daisy chained together, where I shut it off, disconnect it, move the chicken tractor, and then reconnect them later. So hope this video was helpful, and thanks again for purchasing the Farmer Brad do-it-yourself kit. Yeah, so the things to remember are 11/32 drill bit and a 5/8 drill bit for the holes on here. If you have any questions, feel free to put it down in the comments. And thanks for your support. And until next time, remember, now is a great time to homestead.